Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Higher Moment Mastermind. I'm Sheila Lotzar. Happy to be your co-host today with Vern Schellinger, my trusted colleague, here to answer your job search questions. So who would like to kick us off with a question, a topic, anything that's kind of top of mind for you? We can dig into. Sally.
Yes, I have actually two questions. One, I have started a part-time job which has nothing to do with my career. It just is something to
Placeholder.
cover some expenses.
What do you do with your resume and LinkedIn?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of depends. I mean, when did you leave your position?
March.
Oh, well,
April.
April, okay, of last year,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a little tricky. I err on the side of not having brand confusion. Okay.
Okay.
So I err on the side of, keeping your last job, and that's the first thing that people see. Because when people look at your LinkedIn profile, they're typically more, when they're doing that quick glance, they're typically looking on what you've done rather than when you left. They might look at when you left, but that's not the first thing that they see.
Yeah.
Whereas if you put something on there that is confusing, right? Because it's different.
Yeah.
It might be like, I don't get it. That said, I know this is a recorded call. Do you feel comfortable sharing what it is? I mean, if not, that's fine.
It's just a cashier receptionist.
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah, like a retail kind of
at
thing.
Coons, at
Yeah.
Ford.
Yeah. I would probably say that would definitely be very much brand confusion for what your brand is.
Yeah. And part of the reason why is because everybody keeps telling me I don't have any customer service skills, but this is this was to be able to work kind of into customer service so that, if anybody tells me I don't have customer service skills, I can say, look, this is what I'm doing.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't really want to put it on my resume. I don't want to put it on LinkedIn, but
no, I don't.
In this case, starts getting bigger and bigger.
No.
Yeah. And I agree with what Shira's saying. What may happen, Sally, is you may be able to use that in a conversation at some point in terms of people, so how's your job search going, and you're telling about your job search, and I said, and I'm working, I've taken a part-time job to help me improve my customer service skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep it very simple.
Simple.
Literally just like that. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to go into more detail than that, but that's good. I mean, it's good for you to do that.
Yeah.
Great.
My second question is really, I'm very discouraged this week. I ended up in the hospital with bronchial inflammation at the beginning of the week, and I had an interview on Tuesday and with the Pharmacists Association. And I really wanted that job and I really wanted to go, but I had to cancel because they wouldn't let me out of the hospital until I could improve. And so they let me reschedule it for Friday, today. And I was supposed to go today, but then the guy said that his baby arrived early. He started on paternity leave. And so he's not going to be able to interview me today. And so again, I'm very discouraged about this, but am I supposed to be waiting 6 weeks for him to come back till he interviews me?
Yeah, I mean, he should be passing this on to somebody else to
interview
you. One would think. Now, is he the hiring manager?
I don't think so. I don't get that impression.
Yeah,
I forget what the title of it is. It was, let me try and get to it and see what the title was, if I can.
Well, I guess my question is, who was your original point of contact? Was it him? Is he the only person you've been chatting with?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it's through ADP. So I kind of don't understand that system real well.
ADP is handling the search?
I think so.
Okay, because I think they have some, I think that they might have some HR services. So I guess my point is that whoever your point of contact is, that's the
Yeah.
person I would go back to and say, hey, my understanding is, you know, this individual's going to paternity leave. Who would be my next point of contact? Is the search going to be put on hold for 6 weeks, or are they going to be moving forward? That I would just kind of niggle them along, right?
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
all I would do.
It's like,
Just push. Don't, in other words, be a little bit forward about it. Most candidates don't feel to do that. Most candidates just sit there with their hands in their lap and wait for the employer to tell them what's going on. You can be very professional and gentle about it and say, hey, I understand there's been a change here. Can you let me know the status? Are we putting everything on hold, or is there someone else that's going to pick up the ball and, you know, continue with the process in this person's absence? That's the most professional thing you can do, but push it along a little bit. Okay. If there was a recruiter in the middle, that recruiter would be doing the same thing. But if there isn't, then that's your job. But nice, professional, not nudgy, just inquire.
Yes.
And just I know it's discouraging, frustrating, but you know, just go back at it, you know, with a positive attitude that you said this is a job you really like.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't plan to get bronchitis, and you know, obviously the baby came at the same week. So just, you know, let that go and move forward. Yeah.
Just keep have a lean forward attitude about it, you know, just keep it forward.
Yeah. And just to let you know, Shira, the Association of Colleges of Pharmacy, I think they're starting the whole department all over again. They don't know what direction they're going. So that's been put on hold as well. So
lots of eggs in your basket is always what you need, right? Because you never.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, very discouraging this week.
Well, Sally, we are here for you. We're supporting you.
Thank you.
Encouraging you. Pray for you, right? That the Lord would open those doors, right? But the ones that that are supposed to be open, because it's not about you, right? It's not about me. It's about what He wants to do here, right? So I just want to encourage you that it's going to be the right door at the right time, and the journey it's for everybody here, right? It is about the journey, it's not about the destination. Listen, what are we supposed to learn during this process? Are we supposed to learn patience, perseverance, love, kindness, all of these things, right? It's what are you learning through this process? Okay. It's not about the job. It's about the journey.
Thank you.
Yeah. Big hug.
I know. And that was the devotion this morning, that God will supply all our riches and glory and our needs.
Yes.
I needed that. It's a little bit about money with me, but with the job too. It's so hard. I know you, Sally.
You were at, we were in a small group together, I think, at the Falls Church.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's either professionally, personally, or spiritually kind of around. We'll have to link up after.
Sure.
Because your name. But yeah, that was just, and I wanted to read it. And it's not just that He will supply all of our riches, because it's so hard to get stuck in something that we want to do. And maybe that wasn't the job, that I applied for, and all these things that I could have done. And sometimes they hire somebody and then it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
All kinds of things happen. Yeah. Things change all the time.
Yeah. So be encouraged. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about God's timing, Sally. Always remember that. His timing, not ours. And He could have been saving you from something, right? You never know, because we think, oh, that's the job. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe there's a different place, right? For you to be.
Yes.
Okay. So be encouraged.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Christiana, I know you're new with us. We'd love to give you the floor if you have a question for us.
I do. I am leaving teaching, and it just wasn't paying enough money. I need more money now, and my kids are going into college and all that. So I'm looking at what my options are, and my original career was engineering, and then I went into education, and now I have several different directions I can go. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with my LinkedIn profile. I don't have one yet. But
At all, like zero, no, nothing.
I have an account or whatever, but I haven't put anything on it. So I'm trying to figure out, I want to tell people what I want to do, but there's different things that I'm open to. And so that would be very confusing on a LinkedIn profile. So I'm trying to figure out what to focus on, and not knowing exactly which direction I want to go, because
That's
I'm
probably-
open to different things.
Yeah, that's probably a deeper conversation than what we can handle right here in this call, in terms of
Okay.
coaching you through that, right? Because that's deep, in terms
Okay.
of which direction. I would suggest that, when you find that direction, that's obviously the direction you want to go in your LinkedIn. You're right. If you put too many disparate things, it can be a little bit confusing unless there is one overarching theme.
That's what I'm trying to figure
If
out.
if there was, then that is something that you may want to look at. Now, you probably know I am a career coach. It's one of the main things that I do with folks is help people, find that clarity. So if that is something that's interesting to you, happy to work with you offline, to get that clarity. But I would say once you do, then yeah, you want something that lets people know, here's how I can help.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how I can help. Because if you're too broad, people get like, wait, I don't, right? It's that whole, hire, you have a leaky faucet, you hire a plumber rather than a general handyman.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go for a little more narrow, a little more focused. Doesn't have to be extremely focused, but it has to have some parameters to it. So folks know where to go. Are you comfortable sharing? Not that we could get too deep right now, but are you comfortable sharing the specific areas you're looking at? And are they like completely disparate, or they have some connection?
They're what I'm kind of starting to focus in on is some sort of education job that's not in a school. So like a museum, or like I was looking at iFly, where they do the what do you call it?
It's the not parachute.
Skydiving, but not skydiving.
But indoors.
It's the indoor
Yeah.
skydiving
That
practice
thing, yeah.
facility thing.
So anyway, I've been on ZipRecruiter just to get ideas, because they send you ideas of jobs that you might like. And that was one that was on there, that you would be a science, basically the lecturer. And you would, when the kids come in, you would teach them all about what's going on and the physics behind it and that sort of thing. And I have that background, I have the education background and the science background. So that was just something that was interesting to me.
Are you a STEM educator?
Pardon me?
Are you a STEM educator?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you looking, so we might be able to help you pretty quickly here. Are
Okay.
you looking to shift into the private sector in some form of STEM education?
Yeah, that would be one of my possibilities.
Okay. If you land there, if what I just said is true for you and you decide to go in that direction, that could be your overarching theme, because it can manifest in different ways, right? Whether it is something like the iFly, whether it's ed tech, whatever, it could be, if STEM education is the umbrella, different kinds of companies could hire you in that realm. You don't have to be a STEM K-12 educator.
That's what I want to get away from that.
If it's just the K-12 piece of it, that's
Uh-huh.
fine, but STEM education could be your theme.
Ah,
And then, yes, and then in your LinkedIn profile, in your about section, you mention, right, I've come up through the K-12 side, but STEM education is my passion. And I am interested in helping people do blah, 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 blah. Right. And then it gives you what I call a broad, and it's going to sound funny, it's a broadly narrow brand. Like, what does that mean?
yeah.
Right. Broadly narrow, meaning it's narrow in that it's got some definition, but it's broad in that it has elasticity. So
Okay.
it's narrow in that it's STEM education, gives a
Mhm.
little perimeter, but it's got elasticity around, well, what type of education? Who are you educating? Under what conditions? You
Okay.
happen to have been doing kids. Now you can do adults in different circumstances.
Okay.
And Christiana, the other thing I would add to what Shira said in terms of trying to get some clarity is, I would assume that throughout your career, you've developed some relationships with people that know you pretty well. And if you haven't already, reach out to them and just talk to them about what you're thinking about and get feedback from them in terms of, you know, what do you think about what you know about me, my skills, my experience? Do you think I'd fit here? Now, at the end of the day, you have to make the decision, but it's still helpful to get that input and that insight from people. Again, they have to know you pretty well. So, they have to be people that are close to you, maybe a person you worked with for 5 years and developed a real close relationship. So they know your communication skills, they know your teamwork, they know who you are as a person. And when you say, I'm looking to go in this direction, they could, they might give you some insight. They might connect you to somebody, when you say STEM education, they might say, hey, my brother-in-law is really deep into that. And now you're talking to somebody who's in that. All of that can help you get to that point of clarity, which is really, really critical to anybody in the job search. So.
Okay.
And I'd say this to everybody on this call that, and that's why I was asking about STEM education, because that has been a core theme for you, right?
Yeah.
That means that an employer will feel more comfortable hiring you for something that you already have expertise in.
Right. They don't have to train me.
Right. As opposed to going into a completely new field. Not that that's impossible, very difficult, very, very difficult to go and completely do a right-hand turn because employers are risk averse.
Right.
They want some sort of transferability. And when I say transferability, listen up, everybody. I do not mean transferring your soft skills. I do not mean transferring your behavioral attributes. Oh, well, I've got great organizational skills. I can use that over here. That is not what employers are looking for with transferability. That's lovely, but that doesn't make them feel safe. What makes them feel safe is transferability of hard skills and industry skills. Okay, because those are the practical things that will show them that you are not going to have that much ramp up time in learning the new job. Okay, very, very important for anybody listening to this call. It is about transferring hard skills and industry skills. So in your case, that's going to be STEM education, right? So whether you become a trainer, whether you do something that is right, it doesn't really, the professional lane you're in I call it your lane, your career path could look a little different, but your community, right? What you're all up to is STEM education.
Yeah. Are you in Arlington and Northern Virginia area?
Me?
Yes.
I'm in Silver Spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just saying that I just wrote to you and I wrote that I just applied for a program manager position for Stellar Explorers at Air and Space Forces Association, and they do want somebody with STEM background. I don't have that, but it's on here if you want further information. I'm sure I can get to you. The position is in Arlington. I think it's probably hybrid, but
Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you.
I think the association is actually located in Colorado.
Okay. Back to one thing. So for my LinkedIn profile, is it better just to get something out there right now? Just a little bit of, I mean, I'm a perfectionist, so I want it to be perfect.
I get it. You want to be perfect. Yeah, there's a balance between, the measure twice. How many times do you measure, right? If you are comfortable with the STEM educator concept, yes, you can get something out there, put, STEM educator in your headline. You could say, we'd have to talk about that. I don't want to like wedge you to like an actual phrase, but it could have a career transition concept in the headline. But at the very least, if you just say STEM educator, you can just keep it that way, because it's nicer to have a little bit of a longer tagline, and then your about section right now just a little bit about transitioning from K-12 into private sector STEM education, and then have your experience section. That would be kind of bare bones.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you discover more about what you want to do, whether you, again, want to work with someone like me or whomever, but, figuring out, okay, what's really what I want to do, then you can have a longer about section,
Mm-hmm.
and that will help people that'll help guide people. So, Vern, did you have something to say?
Well, I would also say, as a recovering perfectionist, I always live by the words, perfection is the enemy of good.
Exactly.
So as Shira says, get something up there, which is basically good.
Mm-hmm.
And you can update it every day, every week, as things change, as you learn more things,
Right.
as you get more focused, and then you just go back in and edit it and update it. But getting something in there so that people can potentially connect with you. So, you can, if you find people that are in the STEM education world, you can reach out to connect with them. All of those things are get started down that path.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
And I'm gonna jump in on the fear factor, Christina. You've got to get it out there. And it's becoming more and more apparent. I was on another call that companies are now requiring, before they do an in-person interview, that they look at LinkedIn. Before it was just an option. And there's ageism, there's all that kind of things. And it's not ageism because they don't want to hire somebody older, but it's if we don't have a LinkedIn page and we're not active on it, then we're not, how much are we willing to learn? So it's not, so I copy what Vern is saying. Of course, Shira's got it all down, to at least have a skeleton and have it on there, because it demonstrates you're a STEM, but you're not on LinkedIn. And so it's, just very, very basic.
Great point.
I encourage you with that. It's, you've got to have a presence and get over that hoop of in it. And some people have, and look at your friends, your counterparts, or people, and Shira will go over that with you if you get with her one-on-one, on what their LinkedIn page looks like. So,
A lot of ways to do LinkedIn. I have a particular, because I'm a copywriter. I write LinkedIn profiles, I write resumes and such, and I have a particular sort of flavor. In fact, I think you probably saw that in the LinkedIn training, right? I showed some of my samples.
Yes.
I'm one who believes that the about section should really be a value proposition statement, right? Who do you serve? How do you serve? Why do you serve? In what ways? What problems are you helping people solve? So rather than a bio, it's a compelling value proposition, because the experience section on your LinkedIn profile is your resume. It is. You're just cut and pasting from your resume. The about section, to me, is the answer to the lovely question, tell me about yourself. Okay, nobody knows how to answer that. Well, you can, in a thoughtful, compelling way, in the about section. You can and should talk in first person. You can't speak in first person in any other part of your job search. You can't write it in your resume, right? You can't, but you can do that in your, I shouldn't say in any other part of your job search. In your resume, you can't speak first person, but you can do that and should do that in your about section.
Yeah. That's the difference between, the resume has got this specific format, and you've got a lot more flexibility, a lot more ways to communicate on LinkedIn to whoever the reader is.
Yeah, and just from a formatting perspective, or a logistical perspective, LinkedIn's about section gives you right now 2,600 characters, not words, characters, which is about 300 plus words, 350, I don't know, something like that. But it's enough to say something meaningful. And whatever you do say, if you don't work with someone like me, if you just do it on your own, make sure it's compelling, make sure it's not big, long paragraphs. Okay. It's got bullets, it's got white space, it's got a flow to it, and it's easily scannable. People don't read these days, they scan. So just keep that in mind if you're going to write it on your own.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Hopefully this has been helpful for other folks. Anyone else have a question they want to toss in the mix, or a topic?
Hi, Shira. I have, it's Alice Turner. I live in Alexandria, everyone, and I'm in Old Town area. And I'm also a teacher, substitute teaching, Christina, and had my full. It's been really good as a gig job and helping out, the community and to get that experience. So I have three kind of comments, Shira, as I have finally made the turn into the full force. I'm very happy with my resume. I need to relook at my LinkedIn, and that proposition statement is good. So first off, as a person who has a lot of experience and a lot of hard skills. So I love what you said about honing in on my hard skills, which ones to go after. And I think that gets into my, the perception of what do you want, Alice? You know, you can do all these things, but what do you want? And conveying that perception of, I have like these great skill sets, and I have industry experience across the board in like 4 industries, but which ones am I going to go for? And I might go for like 4. So I have to present myself sometimes in like different ways, because I'm looking more for the actual organization and the culture, rather the industry. The industry is switching over into missions and ministry, something that is giving back to society or giving back, but it would be in a professional or an office setting. So taking my development and operational skills into a missions organization like IJB or the Museum of the Bible, or the trafficking organizations that are out there, recovery organizations. So one is, I went ahead and yesterday all day, I've got a really good 1-page resume, because if I give my 3-page, which I've been told, yes, you know, it's all about 2, just put everything down if it's got to go through a scanner. And I want to start using my 1-page to spark the interest and just send that off. It has everything on it. I can tweak it as needed. And then at times, you know, I would like to know where you guys here with the 1-page versus sending off the 3-pager, maybe one.
Okay, can I address that
Yeah.
question right now? I'm going to be
Yeah.
pretty emphatic, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Do you know me? I absolutely tootly-lootly do not recommend a 1-page resume under any circumstances. Nope.
No,
Nope.
I know, but I know.
Nope. I'll tell you why. The only person who should have a 1-pager is a recent grad. Here's the problem. I'm going to give you the optics on the other side. Okay. And I know there are a lot of people that recommend it, but I'm telling you, as a recruiter, looking at somebody who has your level of experience, if you try to compress everything into a 1-page, there's 2 things that happen. Number one, you literally cannot give enough real estate to show the gravitas of what you've done in those sections. And number 2, it looks like you don't have a lot of experience, even though you do. And even though if they look at the dates, right, they'll see that. What happens is that everything feels very compressed. It's almost like these little highlights. And relative to other resumes that give more real estate, the 2 pages and even the 3, it's going to look too condensed. Okay. You won't be able to actually expound on, give accomplishment stories, all of these things in the way that you can with a 2 or 3 pager. It's an optics thing, Alice. That's really all that it is. Because what you're thinking is, oh, well, let me just kind of give them a teaser. But the reality is that they're not looking for a teaser. If they're actually going to read your resume, they're reading your resume. Like, they actually want to see.
Gotcha.
Like, it's because you're a seasoned individual. And if you're a recent grad, absolutely, 1-pager is like perfect. Does that make sense? And that's totally recruiters' lots.
And then you've answered my question, and that it goes back to my reality. Like, I met with Phil Krakow yesterday. Just wanted an overview. People who know me and they're like, just send me something. They don't want my full, because they're going to pass it along. So I still have a 1-page that's just like my, you know, I know what you're saying. I would never put it into maybe.
Yeah, the thing is that if you give a 1-page to anybody, that gives them license to send it to other people. Once your resume is out there, it's out there. It's not really for them.
So, and they ask for it. Like
I'd still send them a 2-pager, because there really isn't any difference in if someone's gonna say, hey, send me your resume, whether they're reading 1 page or 2, it's just an extra 2 seconds of scrolling. Okay. It's not like yesteryear physically handing somebody a piece of paper. That's different. And let me step you guys back for a second. Do you remember the joke about the girl who says, hey, mommy, why do we cut the end of the ham off?
Oh, yeah.
Heard this? It's a great joke. It's perfect for this.
Yeah.
Hey, mommy, why do we cut the end of the ham off? Well, I don't know. Let's ask your grandma. Hey, grandma, why do we cut the end of the ham off? Well, I don't know. Let's ask your great grandma. Great grandma says, because my pan was too small. So here's the parallel. Okay. Parallel is back in a day, pre-email, in the days of lick the envelope, and even faxing. Okay.
Not too long ago.
Recruiter- What?
Not too long ago.
Not too long ago, right?
Years ago.
So we're all old enough to remember this. And back in those days, the recruiter didn't have the time
Right.
to go through multiple pages. So we got to this place of, oh, let's do a 1-page resume or maximum 2, right? That's because it was physical pieces of paper. And then the cover letter, what? Covered the resume. Now it's a separate document. Everything's changed. So we still have that old mindset. A lot of people do of like, oh, 1 page, 1 page. No, these days, when people scroll down the page on a computer screen, it takes
you're
2
going
extra
faster.
seconds for them to do that.
Yeah.
You want to get out of that 1-page mind. Honestly, I'm not just saying this for you, Alice. I get this question sometimes. This is really for everybody. That's why I'm a little passionate about it, because I know what it's like on the other side for me to read a 1-pager of a seasoned individual and be like, but I know there's more substance here. And optically, it makes you look too light. It literally makes you look like a lightweight when a person only sees 1 page, because you cannot give the kind of depth that you can on a 2-pager. And the other thing too is, even if you do a 2-pager, or even if you go into 3 pages, which is no big deal these days,
Yeah. Oh,
you don't want to give the same amount of weight on your resume to everything. First of all, people reward you for what you've done in the last 5 to 10 years, more or less. Okay. Number one. Number two, different kinds of jobs in your resume, you're going to want to give more or less weight to, meaning the jobs that are more relevant to where you're going. Your resume needs to be a reflection of where you're going, not just where you've been. Most people don't realize that. People think, oh, my resume is just a laundry list of things I've done in the past. The recruiter, the employer, is screening it for where you're going. They're screening it for your next job. They're using your past to indicate your ability to do a job in the future. Let me say that again. They're looking at your past as an indicator of your ability to do a job in the future. So the only things that need to be highlighted are the things that relate to where you're going. So it's important not to just give equal weight. Oh, 3 lines here. No, I'm going to give more weight to job B, because job B relates to where I'm going. Job C and D and F, not as much. I'll cut back a little bit. And that's one of the ways that you can tailor your resume. But either which way, you can really only do that if it's at least a couple of pages. Again, a 3 if you need to. I wouldn't go more than 3, by the way, for anybody here, unless you're in academia or in the government. Like 10, right? But in private sector, 2 to 3, totally fine these days. But again, the 1 I think is just going to be too light for your level.
right.
And
Can
I give you the perspective of somebody who spent a lot of years in HR, looking at a lot of resumes and reading a lot of resumes. Think about, if I'm looking at let's say I'm looking at 30 resumes that finally make it to my desk, right? And I'm looking at them and I see your 1-pager. This is interesting, but to Shira's point, I'm looking at the 2-pagers of other people and I'm deciding who to come in for the interview.
Right.
The people with the 2-pager who's given me more information, even though yours may look good for the 1-pager, it might be a great summary. I'm going to choose the people that have given me more information here, because I don't have enough information to say, wow, this person, because if I'm looking at 10, 20 resumes, we're not going to interview 10 or 20 people. We're only going to interview 3, 4, 5. Right. And so that whole decision-making process in whatever organization it is and however it flows through HR, it's always kind of this big funnel, and you're narrowing it down to these 3 to 5 people that you're actually going to interview. So,
right. And I totally get it, because it's a group here. But and Shira, I know, like, I'm talking with someone who's looking for an admin at a church. Mm-hmm. So, it's great, because here's my next point. It comes in and goes, oh my gosh, they get a 3-page resume from me with my $1 million deals and, things that I can do that I want to help an organization, but it's the giver versus the taker, because my perception is a taker, that I come in, I can be perceived that way. And that's the next question is, with a 3-pager and with my credentials, we can't hire. I've been told this. You're going to be asking for too much. And I'm like, I got to pay my bills. I'm a seasoned employer, and I may look younger. I have no kids. I have, they don't know what's going on in me, that I'm not sitting here wanting $200,000 a year because I have a house, a boat, a car, and a bunch of kids that I got to put through college or grandkids on the way.
Right. So one thing that you can do, Alice, I appreciate that. I do,
Yeah.
because your career shifting, I would even say you're downshifting, if that,
And
is that a good,
that's exactly what I put, that I'm downshifting. So before I get overexcited here in the part, so my one pager I'm going to keep, because it's almost like my business card. I meet somebody, I know that they can forward it on, but I know who they're going to forward it on. If it's a big company, I'm gonna be like, no, or it goes to my friends who are like, you need to call this girl. And then when I apply for the job, or I do the formal, I put my 3-pager in. But I just am finding people asking, they just go, no, I just want a quick run view to see what kind of background you have. And just, because I still want to have something on paper. And then the organization of my 1-pager is what I've discussed with them in an hour coffee thing. And they can go on, it's almost like LinkedIn. So, but anyway, it's the taker versus the giver on paper, that, and I've realized here that I'm a giver. I'm perceived as a taker, but I'm a giver. That's why I was successful in account management, because I was helping all the takers or the high-end salespeople. And so that's my
I hear you. And I hear you that you're I hear you, because I didn't realize the whole downshifting thing.
Yeah. So I'm in a total, because there's no way with 10 years, I've had 10 years of not working full time.
Right.
I mean, I've had some professional jobs in there.
Yeah.
And
right.
So they're going to
I would say this about that, not the whole, what you've been doing the last 10 years, but more to the point, and this is for everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
That there's this concept that says, you need to show up before your resume. To your point, Alice, when you have a networking coffee with somebody and they say, do you happen to have a resume? That means you've shown up before your resume. Then you can say, let me know what you're looking for on that resume. Then you customize it. That's it. That's my general kind of thing about that, especially in your case, when it's not going to be just a traditional, hey, I'm applying for a job. I've networked with somebody. They need to know that I've got ABC kind of skills. They share that with me. I have a resume that's customized for them. Regardless of whether it's 1 or 2 pages, it's more around the content and and the headline. And you say in the heading of your resume, I don't know, mission driven or ministry driven, operations professional, whatever it is. Okay. Something like that. And then the top piece speaks to where you're going and talks through those kinds of skills. And then the rest of your work history is there, but you're not making like a huge deal of it, to your point, because then yes, it can make you look overqualified. But if you go in the journalism world, remember that whole phrase, above the fold? Go above the fold. The first top half of your resume should speak to your future. Yes, you're bringing out your skills from the past, but it speaks to, this is my direction. Give it like an advertising document. Give it a headline. Highlight the skills that are relevant for that role. And then you can have your work history. And yes, it can be a little bit truncated if you want it to be, but just make sure that above the fold, it has the skills that they want.
No, and that's a good point, that maybe, because I've got like 2 styles, one that's just like the feed off, that's got everything and just the good meat, and then the other one this is who I am. So that's good. And the other one can go into 2 pages. I just spent a lot of time with like, let me just try to get this as just a quick 1-page overview. And then, so the taker versus the perception of that. And I don't know if that's something for me, as I'm coming into interview, I want to parlay like really now out of the school system. So I'm not going to become a teacher. That's not going to be the avenue I'm going to go. And so it's temp to hire in the staffing services. So I wanted just to bring that up as an FYI, but that's what's going to happen like today and all of next week is I need to be in an office setting. That's in my DNA. That's who I am. And the staffing, it's to how that's going to be either a launch or it's just going to be something that's another holding place. But I need to get in my, like you said, I need to be in my hard skill location, which is not a school.
Right.
It's fun.
Got it. Got it. All right. Well, hopefully that was helpful for you a little bit.
Yes, but I think it's also just the perception when talking. I don't know from an interviewing standpoint, the taker versus given. And I listened to a TED talk after the session the other day, and the guy asked the question who did the TED talk. He just said, he asks interviewers, who have you helped? You know, name 4 people that you've helped in your company. And it was something like, if I listed everybody like my boss, everybody was above me in the company, then it sounds like I'm more of a taker. I'm butting up. But if I go, I help like maybe the team members out in the field, or I helped an assistant. So I thought that was a really good question
That's
for
very
me to
interesting.
look back. Yeah, as a because if it's a taker, I mean, they have what's called the mixer, the person who can do both. But that, you know, I think I come across as, you know, I have these great things that I've done, and I just think it's fun to talk about, but I may be coming
Well,
across.
let me try to expand this right to the whole group here. That's a great point you're bringing up. In interviewing these days, especially, employers are very focused on collaboration, cross-functional collaboration. You know, what we used to call teamwork, right? But it's really cross-functional collaboration. And your ability to work across functional areas, not just stay in your silo, not just be a lone ranger, right? But how are you helping other people? So to the extent that you can bring that up in your interviews, can really be powerful, because then you're saying, it's not about me. I'm here to serve. I'm here to help, right? And bringing up stories that speak to cross-functional collaboration can be very useful. So.
And Allison, I would just say, in terms of giving, even if you were giving to people higher in the organization, those are still legitimate examples of giving. And you know, now maybe somebody would, I mean, you said that makes you look like you're taking, because I don't think most people would see it that way. I certainly wouldn't. And again, I'll go back to the foundational principle of contacts count. The whole foundation of networking is about teaching and giving. And certainly people who give are you know, that's an important function. But the teaching part is what you're doing when you're interviewing. You're communicating your expertise, you're communicating your skills, and you've got to do that, and you've got to do it really effectively to be the person in the interview who gets the offer. So, and if you read Adam Grant's book about give and take, he found the least successful people are the givers, but the most successful people are the givers. And the difference was, the people who were least successful, they gave and gave and gave and gave to everybody, and they did everything that everybody else wanted to do, and they never took care of themselves. They never were able to get their own work done, or they weren't able to advance their career. The givers who were most successful were people who gave, and they gave generously, but they also set boundaries, and they realized, I've got to take care of myself too. So and important to keep that in mind, especially when you're looking for a job. You've got to be teaching people about who you are and what you want all the time.
Yeah.
And Shira and I talk about it all the time. Most jobs are found through networking.
Yes, and that's who it was. I'll get the link and put it on. John Foster, LinkedIn.
Oh, John Foster, yeah.
Yeah, John Foster Googled it while we were talking about it, and that's who it is, Vern. Very good. That's awesome.
He was talking, that's the TED Talk she was talking about.
Yeah, the Adam. That's who it is.
Adam Grant.
Yeah, it's a TED Talk. It was in 2016.
Yeah.
And actually, Christina would really like it, because he talks about engineers, and he talks about, you know, and it's knowing ourselves and loving ourselves. And for us as believers, knowing that God loves us, and he knows exactly who we are as we are created. And we're created by God, not by what man wants to think. But it was an amazing eye opener for me to be humble. And as Vern is saying, it's what I've done or helped, maybe higher ups, but I need to put it in more of a giving tone.
Yeah.
I think presenting myself, the temp to hire. What is there any news with regards to temp to hires and staffing organizations now? Is there any changes coming out of this? Because I feel like there should be a lot, but
Changes in what way?
well, maybe what they're looking at. I mean, is temp kind of gone by the wayside? And it's
No, I don't, not that and look, I'm not in the temp business, so I can't speak. I do permanent, I do regular search, so I can't speak to any sort of trends. Other than I don't believe it's gone away. I mean, people will do what they need to do. I mean, just right now, I just referred a staffing company to an employer they're going to do probably attempt to hire. I mean, and temp to hire companies I think they're doing fine. I mean, I just talked to a colleague and she's doing just fine. So I don't think there's been, I don't know.
And I'm looking at some, if anybody has a listing or some that they've used to put in the chat, because I've got a couple that I'm going to reach out to and, I guess Google it and what have you, but I'm looking to network in that arena.
You want to network in the temp
Staffing, yeah, because right now, I mean, instead of just, in the old days, we would just walk down to an office and go, do you guys need anybody? So I need to network in the temping arena to get in.
And you understand that that arena is specifically administrative, right?
Yes, and that's
Okay.
fine because I am open for admin.
Okay, so let me give you a really good one. In fact, this is the person that I recommended to my colleague. Her name is Lori Reed, and she owns a company called Schechter Reed.
It's Schefter?
Yeah, hold on one second. So I'm putting this in the chat. So Lori Reed, LORIREED, Lori at SchechterReed.com. She's lovely. She specifically she does temp to hire, and I think permanent hire for executive assistants, administrative assistants, that kind of thing. She's absolutely lovely. So
okay.
Recommend her. And by the way, just before I forget, I was made aware of something. This is separate. I was aware of something called the WSJ Job Summit, which I believe is Wall Street Journal. And it's coming up on March 28th. And it's online and it's free. And somebody referred it to me. So it's all about mastering the job market and all kinds of stuff. So, and it's got the chief people officer of Yelp and the EVP and chief people officer of Walmart and Working Nation. So it's going to be a national thing from the Wall Street Journal. Just wanted to throw that out there. Anyway, so sorry, I was pivoting there.
No, that was very good. Thank you. And I know I've taken a lot, but that's really good. And it's basically temping in an office versus being in the schools. It's, so, and there's a little bit more money.
Yeah, I think
I excel when I'm in an office.
There are plenty of temp agencies that would probably be perfectly fine with you as long as they know that this is actually something that you're looking for.
Yeah,
you'd probably be just fine with that. Yeah, call Lori, see how that works. And then there are plenty of other staffing agencies out there that do admin search. I mean, Kelly Services, Norel, there's like a million of them. So, but anyway, that's one to start with. Okay. All right. So other questions, other topics? Alexander, Steve, Karen?
No, I'm pretty good this week. A little bit of movement and some of the things I'm searching on, but nothing spectacular yet.
Okay. No worries. Alexander, any topics you want to bring up?
No topics in particular. Plenty I'd like to bring up during Steve and ours accountability session though. So but yeah, no topics in general.
Any tips that anybody wants to share? Anything that's been working in your job search that you'd like to share with folks? Anything you've read, anything you've experienced, anything that's worked for you?
I just posted the TED Talk.
Great, thank you. All right, well, let's do this then. Since we don't have any other questions, let's do a quick little round robin networking. And we'll go ahead and I'll tell you who's on my Zoom screen. So we're going to do Alexander, Christiana, Alice, Steve, Sally, and Karen, okay, in that order. And all I need you to do is just share what you're looking to do, right? So you can say you're making a transition. You can just say, you know, or not, right? Say I'm looking for this kind of, I'm in this kind of profession and this kind of industry. If you have an industry, if you don't have an industry, that's fine. But at least whatever your professional goals are, just a little quick, you know, couple lines so that we all know what you're looking for, and we can see if we can help you. Because if there's somebody on this call who knows somebody in that sector or knows somebody in that professional area, maybe we can make a connection for you. Okay. And you can also say, I'm looking for these kinds of connections or these kinds of companies, anything we can do to help you out there. All right. So Alexander, you want to start?
Sure. Alexander Henry, 20-year software developer, about 4 years ago made a career change to Scrum Master. Right now, I am looking for either Scrum Master or Agile Program Manager positions.
Okay. Christiana, I know that you already you and Alice told us about yourself earlier. Karen wasn't here at that time, so if you can just quickly share again. You're on mute, Christiana.
Sorry, I'm Christiana Rako. I am looking for a job in STEM education that is not in the schools. So let's see, what else am I supposed to say?
That's okay. For now, I think that's fine. I think we got to the place. That's good. That's great. All right. And Alice, I know we've heard a little bit from you, but if you just want to like maybe sum it up real quick.
That's great. Hi, Alice Turner, and I'll just read off of here. I'm an experienced marketing and operations professional with a strong work ethic and proven track record. I'm creative. I have a creative personality to support success. I'm seeking a job that requires a team member who will be actively engaged for an organization's vision and values through development or operations. So I'm staying away from sales, just for y'all to know, more development, partnership development, and what have you. I'm a person who generates enthusiasm, values collaboration, provides support, and takes action. And so how that would fit in to where an organization needs someone with some experience that I have in my background. But I am coming off of, to let you know, a 10-year gap. But I'm confident and excited and thrilled as to what's next. And I'm open to coming in at a attempt to hire or an entry level and work way up, or come in at, you know, mid-level management. But for me, it's really about the organization.
Great. And one thing for everybody's pitch, it's always very helpful when people are hearing, you know, kind of what you want to do, is to actually start with what you want to do. I know it's very natural for people to start with background, but people are actually looking for what do you want to do? Then you can get into background. So I would start with, like, for example, in your case, Alice, I'm seeking an operations or development role in a mission-driven nonprofit. Start with that. Then you could say, if needed, I come from a marketing and sales background. But if you start with marketing and sales, people they've already been fixated on marketing and sales, not realizing you're about to pivot them. So I would start with what you want to do. Fern, did you want to highlight anything about that?
No, I think that's, again, communicating your expertise. This is the area that I want to work in.
I want to work in. It's all about the future, because people are listening for, how can I help you? How can I help you is, what's the title that you're looking for? What's the profession? What's the industry? Where are you going? Then you can backdoor into where I've been, if that's helpful in supporting where you're going. Now, if it's not, if it's confusing, to say, look, I'm looking for development and operations, but I come from marketing. And they're like, what? I don't get it. You can just say, I'm looking for, right, development and operations and in a mission-driven and culture and blah, blah, blah. And then if somebody wants to know where you've come from, they can ask more. All right, Steve.
Hi, I'm Stephen Dunn. I'm looking predominantly in the technology support and operations space, specifically at manager or director roles. Could be strategic, hands-on, or a hybrid of both.
Okay, great. Thanks, Steve. Sally?
Oh, me? I'm sorry. I'm Sally Cook, and I'm looking for a position in association education department, primarily in the manager position. I enjoy working with subject matter experts and developing their content to lead to competency level learning, and helping to build their credentials in their own profession.
Thank you, Sally. Karen? Karen, do you want to share about what you're looking for? Are you frozen, Karen? Oh, there you are.
Did you say Karen? I'm sorry, I'm having internet issues this morning.
Yes, yes. Could you share with us a little bit
Oh, I'm
about what
sorry.
you're looking for?
So my name is Karen Green and I am looking for a project manager, business analyst role in technology. I have about 20 odd years of technology experience. And I just finished working as a core trainer for the Maryland Board of Elections.
And Karen, are you aware that Alexander and Steve have started a little side group in the tech space? Are you plugged into that yet?
No.
Yes, not. Alexander or Stephen, do you want to put in the chat a link how Karen can get in touch? So Alexander, Steve, and a few other folks from this group split off and they have a separate group around, what do you guys call yourselves?
IT accountability group. So Karen, if you have a LinkedIn profile and can give us that information, we can add you to the ongoing email chat or group chat within there. And then I can give you some more details about the weekly meeting. We generally do it on Wednesday, or I'm sorry, Fridays. Basically just a check-in of, what have you encountered this week? What are some of the obstacles you're running into and how can we help? And just trying to keep each other, motivated and on task, but specifically within IT space, project management, those sorts of things. So.
Sure. Steve, can you put your contact information in the chat for me?
Sure. Yep. Happy to do it. Just a
Thank
second.
you.
I guess you have, Sherry asked for tools and tips and whatnot. Accountability groups. So I joined a second one as well. It was more on the entrepreneurial space, and those are really handy. So you come to an accountability group thinking, okay, you're really self-centered. You're really thinking about yourself and what have I done this week to help myself? And how do I make it look good to other people? That really, really helps well. And for example, last week, I went to an entrepreneurial accountability group, and I'd recently gotten a call for a program management position, but I was a Scrum Master. But this lady was a PMI in an agile way. And it's like, wait, what is that about? So I asked her for 15 minutes offline, and I got a new perspective and a new, there's another certification out there, and I'm liking that as a potential career path. So yeah, those accountability groups can help in a number of ways.
Right.
Perfect
And by the way,
example.
CNM, the Career Network Ministry has accountability groups. Oh, there you go. Alice just mentioned it.
So what Alexander just said, that's what happens when you network and you get involved with other people and talk to other people and you tell them about yourself and you learn about them and they can help you and you can help them. And that's just so critical in the job search.
Yeah, and they're starting up next week, I think it is, and they're like 10 weeks, so they're very structured. And I'm not 100% like, I really would like to do what Alexander and Stephen are doing and find more like-minded that we're headed in the same direction. And maybe that'll happen through this group, but it's really more of just, are you doing this, that, and the other, and the structure, which is why I want to get back into an office. As you know, K through 12 is not very structured. So, these days. So,
well, Alice and Christiana, not for nothing, the fact that you both have,
I know,
both been in that world, you're looking for different things, but maybe the two of you can start your group, because that's actually how this started. Alexander and Stephen, right? Didn't you guys start together? And then you pulled up.
It was actually through this. I think we all came in here, and Karen McCann, who has since landed a role that she's going to be starting, suggested to me that we start an accountability group in the IT space. And there were enough people that started there. A bunch of other people came in through this particular networking group that have since joined, and then referrals of those people as well. So it's gotten us into reaches, not just in not-for-profit or association space, but also in commercial and some federal and a bunch of different areas.
It started with the two of you, is my point, right?
Well, Yeah, with Karen and myself,
Karen.
and Alex and others that have come through the process. Yeah, that's exactly how it started.
So Alice and Christiana, you could start with the two of you in this case, right? And then just start asking other people, you know?
Because it's
Yeah,
like-
yeah. and the accountability groups are purposely kept really small so that people get to know each other. So that other entrepreneurial one as well, it was DC entrepreneurs, but there's like 15, 20 people that show up each biweekly. So for the and yeah, you never know who you're going to meet, and you never know how it benefits, just like it was with me. And that was Karen's idea, was just to have a 12 or 15 person group and just keep it going and rotating, and you know, just have a nice small impromptu group.
Right. And I get that. And I think even Christine and I, like, we're at the same level, moving out of and branching into the job search, and that accountability groups can be a couple of weeks or they could be months. And so, but Christina, I know some educators up in Maryland, and what I was thinking is they may have a lot of the STEM teachers and the principals, they have connections in the workplace because they're trying to put students in, you know, little jobs or getting scholarships and what have you. So I have some, you know, professional friends that are teachers and that they teach in STEM specifically, and they've probably already dealt with some of them have come out of the business world, and they just totally don't want to go back. They want to stay in teaching. So they don't want the money, they don't want the pressure or what have you. So I would love to connect with you offline, and I am looking for that, for more of one-on-one, but I'm still going to do the larger group because of, like we were talking about, resume and, you know, having that structure of how my resume has the right words in it, and who am I contacting that week, and what might be, you know, the pros and the cons that might be happening through the job search. So
make sure you guys share your email contact information. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up our call for today. For those who would like to stay on for the prayer call, the short prayer call that I lead, you're welcome to do that. Anyone else? Look forward to seeing you all next week, Lord willing. Oh, and just as a reminder, I just want to remind you guys where the recordings are of this call. I always forget to share that. So if you go to purposefulhire.com, which is my website, you go to Hire Moment Mastermind. That's where you would find it. It's all down here. All of these are all of most every recording we've had since we started in August of 2020. Okay, I'm going to put that link in the chat. There you go. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop recording.